Zhu He's white moonlight left the country before I had a chance to get on top. His friends laughed at me for being cheap, scolding me for being a plaything and rushing to lick. But I don't care, God knows how long I've liked Zhu He. But substitutes are substitutes, even if I pour out my heart and lungs, but not in exchange for a moment of his true heart. The white moonlight back to China, a cold let Zhu He like a big enemy. I was thrown down in the pouring rain but could not exchange him half a glance. Later, I broke up. He went crazy. When Zhu He's moonlight returned to China, they said it was time for me, a cheap-licking dog, to move. I didn't hear it, and I put a piece of taro in Zhu He's empty bowl, which he loves to eat. He was looking at his cell phone, lowered his eyes to look at the bowl, picked up the taro and threw it into the bone dish, his voice faint. Use public chopsticks. The others laughed. But when they saw my calmness, they felt bored and turned to other things. I gently breathed out the rest of the light to see Zhu He's cell phone screen on the familiar name notes, Jin Zueru. That crowd in the mouth of Zhu He's white moonlight. Just now I was made fun of by the mockery. Zhu He did not have half a reaction. The Pacific coast of Jin Zueru did not know what to say, so that the corner of his mouth slightly curved. My heart suddenly bored, hurriedly stood up, said he wanted to go to the wind. Zhu He seems not to hear. Jin Zueru to return to the country. Zhu He side should change people. This is everyone's consensus. As the person concerned, I also think so, and at the beginning of the preparation. But I did not expect, this day came so fast. Jin Zueru and Zhu He is a well-known university of the school bully CP. They are a perfect match. And is Jin Zueru dormitory coveted to spy on Zhu He gutter rat. When Jin Zueru went abroad to study, I relied on the dog-licking experience and successfully became Zhu He's unofficial girlfriend. He never acknowledged me, but he didn't skimp on bringing me out to meet friends. Like today, for example, camping in the wilderness and gathering under the night. I became the laughing stock in his friends' mouths again. Zhu He is the illegitimate son of the Zhu family. He's a noble and intelligent man, but he's not valued by the Zhu family. The Zhu family has an heir. It's not Zhu He's turn to get his hands on the family's property, giving him a privileged life, but never recognizing his identity outside. That's why Jin Zueru likes him, but can't see him. They were never really together because once the relationship was publicized, Jin Zueru could not get rid of the identity of her illegitimate girlfriend. It would be a stain on her perfect life. After He proposes a relationship, Jin Zueru boards the plane with a freshly baked offer. So how did I know all this? Because Jin Zulu used to show off in the dormitory, of course. She said it to me on purpose. Zhu He's affection, which she disdained, was the thing I craved the most. The year before last, the eldest son of the Zhu family died in a car accident, and the Zhu family remembered Zhu He as an illegitimate son. Zhu He became the heir apparent to the Zhu family. So Jin Zulu came back. In terms of luck, I'm always a lot worse than Jin Zueru. Like love, like family. My mother gave birth to me at a young age and gave me away. At that time she was busy marrying into the Jin family, but a year or so later, she gave birth to a precious daughter, Jin Zueru. When I was young, I didn't know my own life, and my mother-in-law lived a very happy life, and then I relied on my grades to go to the city's best high school. When Jin Zueru found out who I was, I became a regular target of bullying in her clique. I tried to help myself, I tried to ask for help, but what I got in return was even more excessive bullying. I was on the verge of collapse several times. It was Zhu He who saved me. When he brought me out of the abandoned classroom, the sunlight fell on him and his whole body seemed to glow. From then on, he was my light. He said, "So what if we're illegitimate, we've done nothing wrong?" Then he fell in love with the bully. "I'm sorry Song Tao, I like Jin Zueru, she doesn't want me to get too close to other girls." After that, he never spoke to me again. My light left me behind. Autumn was deep and dewy, the cool wind blew my nose clogged, I tightened my clothes and prepared to leave. I was startled when a hand suddenly reached out from around my waist. I recognized the man behind me. Shen Yan, Zhu He's friend, a playboy who plays the world. I was impressed with him because he looked at me like a slimy snake. I tried to leave and was stopped by Shen Yan. I looked at him warily. "What do you want?" Shen Yan smirked. "Jin Zhu Ru is back. Why don't you go and follow me? I'm not much worse than Zhu He." I was shaking with anger. "You're crazy. Aren't you afraid I'll tell Zhu He? At least I have been good with him for 3 years." Shen Yan is so emboldened. Shen Yan shrugged his shoulders uncaringly. "You go and say it. Do you think he believes you or me?" I froze. Shen Yan is right. Zhu He will not believe me. Because I had told him about this a long time ago. I told him a long time ago that his friends were looking at me strangely. What was Zhu He's reaction at that time? He cupped my chin and sized me up from side to side. His eyes contained contempt, and he let out a snort. "Song Tao, don't flatter yourself." The embarrassing memories made my blood rush up in anger. I pushed Shen Yan away and ran away. Returning to the caravan, I stayed until dawn. The next morning, I learned that Zhu He had left the campground last night. But my WeChat was empty, not a single message from him. Someone deliberately asked. "What? He didn't tell you? Aren't you his girlfriend?" "Why? What girlfriend? Zhu He didn't introduce us." From the first time I was brought by Zhu He to his friends, this kind of cynicism never stopped. They were extremely derogatory and mocking towards me, as if I had robbed Zhu He. But between us, it was clearly Zhu He who started it. I haven't seen Zhu He for a week since we left the campground. That's not surprising. Once, he disappeared for a month without contacting me. I was so worried that something had happened to him that I begged my grandparents to inquire, and he finally appeared in Jin Zueru's circle of friends. He went skiing abroad and they met. And now, I don't make jokes with a hot head anymore. When Zhu He called me, I was at work. He asked me why I wasn't home. I explained. The company has a new project recently, so it's a little busy in 2 days. Come back now, I'm hungry. Zhu He was impatient to hear me say this and interrupted me. I listened to my cell phone beeping busy as I stood in the pantry, a little bemused. My co-workers were busy outside, so how could I possibly take off and leave at this time? 2 forces were pulling at my heart, and in the end I had the courage to ask the team leader for leave. When I left, the group didn't look too good. Back home, the sound of water came from the bathroom. Zhu He was taking a shower. I casually took his jacket and smelled a fruity perfume. Just as I was about to lower my head to perform a perverted act and take a closer whiff of the smell, the unfamiliar ringing of my cell phone interrupted my thoughts. I picked up Zhu He's cell phone before I could read the name on the screen. Behind me, the bathroom door squeaked. I didn't have time to turn around when the smell of shower gel mixed with water vapor and the fragrance of green tea hit my nose. "Who gave you permission to touch my phone?" Zhu He pushed me away and took the phone. His hand was so strong that I stumbled and fell onto the sofa, staring at him in a daze. Honestly, at this moment, I felt wretched and embarrassed, the truth that I was like a clown expanding infinitely in my mind. Zhu He was somewhat at a loss. 6 times, I smiled at him and stood up. "It's fine, you go answer the phone." His attitude already indicated who the call was from. Zhu He gave me a silent look and went back to his room with his cell phone. When he came out again, the meal was just finished. In fact, my cooking was average, and Zhu He didn't like to eat it, and he meant something else when he said he was hungry. Zhu He pulled me to the sofa and sat down, placing the blue jewelry box in my palm. "For you." I was a little surprised, so rare, after all. Zhu He even had my birthday and the gift was an afterthought. Opening the box, inside was a pair of pink gemstone earrings. I smiled and asked, "What kind of day is today? Why did you think of giving me a gift?" Zhu He opened the TV. "That time when I was camping, I forgot to tell you that I left first. This is a compensatory gift." I pretended to be dissatisfied. "That's it." Zhu He liked how I occasionally showed my little petulance, because it was very similar to Jin Zuru. He probably thought I didn't know, and from time to time, he did nasty things to tease me and make me angry, seeing me show such an expression before hugging and kissing me in his arms. But this time it didn't seem to have much effect. Without shifting his gaze from the TV, He casually asked, "So what do you want?" It was too late for me to delve into He's change of heart, because I probably knew what was going on. I blurted out, "To see a movie together, this weekend." My heart lifted tightly. It was good that He agreed. I moved over and gave him a kiss on the cheek. He suddenly caressed my face, his deep eyes welling up with infinite affection, and I was pressed into a deep kiss on the couch. He sat next to me looking at his phone, my breathing subsided and he came up for another kiss. I scooted closer to him and saw the strong, powerful arms covered in beads of sweat. There was also a hideous scar on it. I knew this scar. In high school, when he was a high-flying, eye-catching guy who was courted by a lot of girls but never bowed his head, he was targeted by someone from outside the school. He has a hard temper, was dragged to beat him half to death. I rushed to his rescue with a stick, was also beaten half to death, fortunately my madness to scare the punks away. I guarded He, reported to the police. When I woke up, Jin Zueru became his savior. Such flow of cozy moments, I suddenly spoke. He, we will be separated? He didn't say anything. As soon as the words were asked, I regretted it. I was apprehensive, He remained as usual. I slowly put my mind at ease. He did not mention Jin Zueru, I will pretend not to know. But the two of us, the middle is like really sandwiched between a person. He every day with a perfumed shirt back, and that punctual time on the phone, all make me uneasy. I knew I stood no chance against Jin Zueru. Sometimes I even thought it would be better to just let it go. I was a little tired. I can't cover he doesn't belong to me. Such days didn't last long. Jin Zueru called me and asked me out. Song Tao, I really underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be quite good at it. He really caught up with you. They say you're like a licking dog, licking him. You don't even want to lose your dignity? I'm back, are you particularly afraid? Jin Zueru is as before, flamboyant and beautiful, with long burgundy curly hair and exquisite makeup, beautiful like a siren. I was 3 times similar to her, after all, it was the same mom. I looked at her coldly and didn't say anything. She didn't care either and spoke to herself. Song Tao, don't waste your efforts, you can't compare to me, you'll always be my shadow. When I come back, where else would it be your turn to be a fake? If you take the initiative to leave, your face will still look better. Who doesn't know that He loves me? I was shocked by Jin Zueru's shamelessness. She could always turn black and white upside down. Shouldn't the fake be you? I saved He, didn't I? She ruffled her burgundy hair, her eyes disdainful. Who would believe that? Who would believe a lying bastard daughter like you? Would He believe it? Or do you not want to be a good daughter anymore, to break your mom's heart? The palms under the table were pinched red. Jin Zulu was right, no one would believe me. Mom gave birth to me when she was young and ignorant, and I was a stain on her life. When Jin Zueru left, she made it a point to come close to me and stare at my ears. What pretty pink gemstone earrings. Haha, you don't know, right? He photographed the pink gemstones and made me a necklace, leaving a bit of trimmings and made them into earrings. Looks like you still like them. I braced myself and held my back. My ears seemed to be giving birth to a painful sensation, and it was hard for me to bear. Zuhi, why do you want to embarrass me so much? The project was over, the company was on vacation, and it fell on a weekend. I bought 2 movie tickets. From the morning to send messages to Zuhi, do not dare to send more, only 3, he returned to me at noon, said he remembered, pick me up at that time. The movie starts at 7:30 p.m. I sent a message to Zuhi 2 hours in advance. After a while he replied, let me go to the cinema first, the company has something. I went. 15 minutes before the movie started, Zuhi wrote again and said that he would be there in a while. Halfway through the movie, Zuhi came. He sat next to me and held my hand. I broke away and was held again. When the male and female characters were kissing on the movie screen, he came over and kissed me. His voice was low and deep, like he was saying love words. Sorry, something came up at work. The light was dim and I couldn't see the expression on his face. I also don't know how he managed to say this sentence so naturally. Doesn't he know that the fruity scent he's wearing is about to smother people? I didn't reveal it and heard myself faintly hum. The movie was finished. Zoo, he said he wanted to take me out for a late-night snack. I followed him silently, watching him answer the phone, watching his face tangle, and finally turning to me and saying sorry. I have something on my side, I have to leave first, we'll eat the snack another day. I interrupted him. Is it important, can't you send me back first? Zoo, he nodded without changing his face. It's important, you take a taxi back. After saying that, Zoo, he turned around and left without a care in the world. I opened my mouth, and cool liquid fell on my face, along with my tears. It was raining. But Zoo, he didn't turn around, he left, the car driving so fast. A sharp pain flooded deep in my chest, preventing me from breathing. I couldn't get a cab outside the movie theater. I waited for a long time as the rain got heavier and heavier. Gazing at the sheets of rain, I rushed straight in. It was after 12 when I returned to my neighborhood in the wet. When I returned home, I found the interior brightly lit. Zoo, he stood up from the couch, and he grabbed a handful of hair. Where have you been? It's almost 1 o'clock now. What's with this water all over you? Looking at his questioning demeanor made me feel especially ridiculous. But my head hurt like hell and I didn't want to talk, walking around him toward my room. Couldn't get a cab, walked back. Zoo, he was dumbfounded and half whispered. You could have called me. I laughed. Weren't you the one who just dropped me off? I lowered my head and wanted to go back to my room, but Zoo, he pulled me back. I saw that he seemed to have something difficult to say on his face. Zoo, he. Song Tao, I. Tao Tao, long time no see. I seem to have disturbed you. Hearing this voice, I was stunned, turning my head to look. Jin Zhu Ru was standing in the doorway of the master bedroom. Her hair was messy, her face was pale, and she was in a state of choo-choo. There was not the slightest resemblance to the previous Kafi's flaunting appearance. Why are you in my house? Zhu, he frowned, tugged me a bit. Song Tao, don't talk like this. Zhu Ru caught a cold and passed out. I wanted to send her home, but no one is at her home. Isn't your company on vacation recently? And you guys are classmates. Take care of her. Crazy. Crazy. Zhu, he's nauseatingly obvious look of taking things for granted. I had a splitting headache, and without thinking, I threw a slap onto his face. Splat. Get the hell out of here. Jin Zhu Ru screamed and ran, delicately crashing into Zhu He's arms, stroking Zhu He's beaten face. But Zhu He ignored her. He looked at me in shock, panic flickering in his eyes as he reached out his hand to try and grab me. Song Tao. I backed away. Jin Zhu Ru sensed this and turned violently, shielding Zhu He behind her, facing me watering. Song Tao. Why did you hit Zhu He? If you want to blame me, just blame me. I'm used to her tactics like this, knowing that it's useless to argue. I breathed hard twice and pointed at the door. Please leave my house. I won't say this a third time. My house. Being boarded up by a boyfriend with a love rival, a teenage bully. And asking me to serve with care. That sucks. Am I some kind of really bitchy person? For the first time in my life, I felt disgusted with Zhu He. Underground garage. The car was quiet. Zhu He wanted to send Jin Zueru back home, but she refused. Jin Zueru's eyes were red and she revealed a bitter smile. You know, I can't go home in this situation right now. My parents will beat me to death. Zhu He, I can actually explain clearly with Song Tao. There is no possibility for me and you anymore. She doesn't need to worry at all. Zhu He had a preoccupied look on his face. He had actually been beaten by Song Tao. slapped by that Song Tao, who loved and licked him. Hearing Jin Zueru's words, Zhu He frowned. Don't worry about Song Tao's place. How are you doing? Is your stomach okay? Jin Zueru's face was still a little pale, touching her stomach, revealing a gentle expression. It's an obedient child, it's just a pity that he won't be able to see his father in this life. Zhu He took pity on her encounters abroad, and his cold, hard expression became gentle. Don't say that. I'm this child's godfather. I'll be the one to love and spoil him in the future. Since you don't want to go home, then stay at my place. I'll go back to the old mansion. Zhu He originally thought that Song Tao would take the initiative to come to him. But he didn't expect that in the past week, he didn't receive Song Tao messages. A new project opens up and I start working. This time it's even busier than last time. I, however, had an adequate time. As long as I was busy, the figure about Zhu He in my mind would become fainter and fainter. Late at night after work, I saw a man crouching in front of my house. I was startled and didn't realize until he stood up that it was Zhu He. Seeing me, his cold face seemed to have 2 more points of joy. He rushed over and directly hugged me. Song Tao, you're back. He hugged me very tightly. The 2 arms were like vines wrapping me tightly. I struggled twice and couldn't break free. This time there was no fruity smell on him. I reacted that he shouldn't have had any contact with Jin Zueru today. Rarely, I was very flat and indifferent to this news. It seems like I really don't love him anymore. Zhu He. Song Tao, why don't you return my messages? Why are you ignoring me? My voice was soft. Too busy with work. Zhu He seemed to stiffen for a moment and hugged me tighter. You weren't like this before. I don't say anything. Zhu He could hardly endure this coldness. Song Tao, how much longer are you going to be angry? I know you're angry because of Zhu Ru. I came here today to tell you about this. I don't have any relationship with Zhu Ru. The reason I want you to take care of her is because she's pregnant. Pregnant? It's only been back in China for how long and you're getting it on? Against my questioning eyes, Zhu He gasped. The child is not mine, her boyfriend died in a righteous act abroad, she could not bear to abort this child. Oh, I believe it, it's weird. Jin Zueru is what very kind person. She did not even have the courage to accept Zhu He at home in the beginning, is afraid of their own stains, how to go abroad, talked about a boyfriend, pregnant, do not want to abort it. The matter of having an unmarried child is a disgrace to her as a high and mighty young lady. I suddenly felt that Zhu He was a bit pathetic, being fooled by a woman. I didn't bother to say this to him, my tone perfunctory. I know, Jin Zueru is pregnant, you'd better go take care of her now. A pregnant woman who just returned to China must be very uncomfortable. Zhu He's face instantly chilled as he heard this. I've already arranged manpower at her place. You're the one who's my girlfriend, letting me take care of another woman, aren't you jealous? Girlfriend? The girlfriend who doesn't get introduced. The girlfriend who will always be taunted by your brother. I snorted with cold eyes. It's pouring with rain, you can leave your girlfriend behind to pick up another woman, don't you think your girlfriend will be upset? Zhu He suddenly came forward and wrapped his arms around me, pressing me against the door and trying to kiss down. I raised my hand to block it. What do you want to do? I don't have the heart to do this with you right now. The desire in Zhu He's eyes faded. I won't force you, I know you're still angry, time will prove that I don't have any relationship with Jin Zueru. Zhu He in order to prove that he is true to his word. In the circle of friends, public and my photo, the bottom of the uproar. I watched from the sidelines and smiled. Zhu He also wanted to take me skiing abroad, but he picked the time when I was the busiest at work. All of his actions during this period of time let me seem to be in a dream. I'm softening. But there's a moment when dreams wake up. My birth mother, whom I hadn't seen for a long time, called me and asked me to meet her. When I arrived, I saw Jin Zueru. The two of us parted on bad terms. In the underground garage, she drove her car straight at me and I hurt both my legs while she miscarried. He rushed to the hospital and went straight to Jin Zueru's ward. With the door half open, I saw him walking in a hurry, brushing past my ward. Another loss. The nurse helped me change the medicine, and he broke into the room, splitting his head. What the hell do you have to do to let Zuru go? I've told you I'm yours. Do you still have to get rid of her child before you do that? She's a pregnant woman. Can you not be so vicious? Song Tao, you really disappoint me. He has never trusted me. No matter what happened, he would always stand firmly in Jin Zueru's shoes to think about her and be anxious for her. I lowered my head, my heart clenched into a tight ball. He didn't believe me. It will always be like this. I should have gotten used to it long ago. I looked at He with no more affection in my eyes. My birth mother, who abandoned me for years, suddenly contacted me and asked me to meet her, and I went to the scene to find out that the person was Jin Zueru. Don't blame me for her miscarriage, I'm the victim. Perhaps you don't realize that Jin Zueru's mother is my biological mother. Furthermore, let's break up. You make me sick, don't hang on to me if you like white moonlight. He's mouth opened, half unable to speak. The nurse lady was afraid that he would make a move and invited him out, turning her head to ask if I wanted to call the police. I said of course. I stayed in the hospital for 5 days, and the police came over for routine questioning. He finally couldn't help himself and once again came to the door to mention Jin Zueru to beg for mercy. I then pretended to be weak and pitiful, the nurse lady black-faced to invite him out. But I did not expect, Jin Zueru unexpectedly called the woman, moral kidnapping me. She begged me to let Jin Zueru go, almost kneeling on the ground. But I, the abandoned daughter with injured legs, didn't see her ask a single question. She tried to kidnap me morally, but am I someone who cares about family? I opened a high price. The woman agreed through gritted teeth. After returning home, I packed He's things. Directly let someone send to his home. And asked the agent to visit the house. The house is my hand from the hands of the birth mother stingy, she never gave me living expenses, I take her a small house is not excessive. The house lot is very good, this piece of big development went up a lot. As soon as the house was put up for sale, it was auctioned off. But that person is still abroad, a month later back to sign, let me wait for her. In a few days for my birthday, my family is arranging a cruise party for me to celebrate. You invite Song Tao over. I want to apologize to her on such an important occasion. Jin Zueru was picked up by her family after coming out of the hospital. Seeing that he hadn't contacted her for a long time, she panicked inside and took the initiative to come to her door. But he was in the end angry at her for hitting Song Tao by mistake and didn't agree to it in one go. Was trying to find a way to rebuff when the cell phone rang. He fiercely picked up a look, but it is an unfamiliar phone. He felt a sudden loss in his heart. Who? Hello, Mr. Your package has been sitting in the security room for several days. When do you think you'll come over to pick it up? As soon as he heard the sender, he rushed back. But the courier was full of things that he had put in Song Tao's wherever. He was angry and furious, and fearful. So he promised Jin Zueru that he would bring Song Tao with him when the time came. I did not know that I was arranged clearly. The company is very good, gave the injury leave for 2 months, but I no longer want to stay in this city, intend to go back home. So I resigned directly, and the company was generous enough to give me enough money. The old home has now become a tourist town, mother-in-law's remaining cottage, renovation and decoration can also open a small store, slowly over the rest of his life. I don't want to get involved with this city anymore. There is still half a month before the new head of household comes to the door. I've asked my elementary school classmates to help me with my old home. When I returned home after handling company business, I saw the door being opened. My heart fluttered as I quickly approached and saw a familiar pair of shoes at the door. It was he. Misstep, forgot that this guy still has a key. I'll change it tomorrow. What are you doing here? He sat on the sofa as usual, his tone aggravated. Song Tao, do you really want to separate from me? I've already investigated the underground garage thing. Zhu Ru didn't do it on purpose. Her car broke down. If she really wanted to hurt you, how could she use her own child as a bet? Bastard. In order to kill two birds with one stone, get rid of me, get rid of the child, so you can cleanly marry into the Zhu family. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Zhu he was a bit overwhelmed. You say break up, just break up. I do not agree. You at least give me the opportunity to atone for my sins. I smiled. Jin Zueru middle school bullying me for 3 years. You can from now on no longer care about her? Zhu he hesitated. But she is my benefactor. A benefactor? Okay, then there's nothing more to say. I nodded meaningfully and made a gesture of invitation. Zhu he suddenly hugged me tightly. I have a surprise for you tomorrow. I'll come pick you up. After saying that, Zhu he left, walking fast, probably afraid that I will refuse. But tomorrow, isn't it Jin Zueru's birthday? Zhu he came to pick me up. I didn't want to go, but Zhu he is stubborn, so I went there or take the opportunity to talk to him clearly. The two of us, it's no longer possible. Zhu he brought me to the cruise ship. The venue here is exquisitely beautifully decorated. At a glance, it is the scene of some party activity. I instantly realized this was Jin Zueru's birthday party. Laughing to death, so the surprise Zhu he was talking about was Jin Zueru's birthday party. He wasn't afraid of me messing it up. My legs were much better, even though I had injured both legs. It was actually a fractured right leg and a broken skin on the left leg. I walked very well with my crutches. Along the way, I saw several of Zhu he's friends, who looked at me, wanting to say something. These people used to mock me all the time. But since Zhu he made his relationship public, they didn't even dare to fart. I smiled at them, showing my teeth. They moved their eyes away sheepishly. I also saw a disdainful woman in the corner, who was Zhu he's loyal suitor, the rich white beauty Wang Zhu, who was very favored by her family's rich assets. Wang Zhu is a spoiled brat who used her wealth to test Zhu he, but she was disliked by him, and in the end, they didn't work out. To me, Zhu he is a prude. When the Zhu family's eldest son car accident, he was recognized back. The same day also came to me to drink drunk, that belongs to him, finally to his hands. At that time, I was only too busy to be happy for each other. Now I can't wait to spit a mouthful. Zhu he, you are just a pickup. Jin Zueru welcomed me in a white puffy princess dress and wanted to hug me. I flashed to the side and said loudly, Jin Zueru, do you want to knock me into disability again? Resentment flashed on Jin Zueru's face. She was wearing exquisite net red makeup. Her eyes were red underneath, with a resigned expression like I was bullying her. Song Tao, don't think of me like that. Today is my birthday. I sincerely want to apologize to you. I rolled my eyes at her. Oh, really? If you're truly sincere in apologizing to me, why did you hold your birthday party instead of Jin Zueru's apology party to Song Tao? The beautiful sound of music couldn't hide my voice. Zhu he walked in. Rarely did he protect Jin Zueru. Zueru, it's a fact that you bumped into Song Tao. Apologize to her. Jin Zueru gritted her teeth and said she was sorry, turned around and wiped her tears and left. I was surprised by Zhu he's behavior, but my heart did not fluctuate. I don't know what this pair of scummy men and women are trying to do again. Zhu he still wanted to pull me aside to talk, but I shook off his hand and walked to the other side of the leisure area. Zhu he awkwardly stayed where he was for a while and left. Told you to follow me. A voice came from behind me, and I didn't even look to see who it was. Shut up. If you want to steal from Zhu he, you can go to Jin Zueru. She loves it when men surround her. I don't like her. I only like you. Shen Yan sat on another chair, looking at the woman's fine white side face, suddenly reached out and touched it. I raised my hand and slammed it over. Touch me again and I'll chop you up. I didn't expect Shen Yan to be stunned at all. Covering the hand that had just been hit, he said with a smile. Hit a little lighter, it doesn't hurt. My head went numb. What the hell is this? I hadn't heard that Shen Yan was a pervert before. I got up in a hurry to leave, and he stopped in front of me, and I pushed him away. Shen Yan fell to the ground, still laughing. The commotion over here caught the attention of the people in the hall. Jin Zuru walked over and saw this scene, and said somewhat aggrieved. Song Tao, even if you hate me, you can't mess up at my birthday party. Why are you pushing Mr. Shen for good reason? He's my guest. I took a deep breath. Why don't you ask this pervert what he just did? Shen Yan got up from the floor, his face full of innocence. Miss Song, I just saw that you had trouble with your legs and feet and wanted to help you walk in. Don't think too much. You are Zhu He's girlfriend. How could I treat you? Someone in the surroundings grunted in a muffled voice. Hey, I say it's not good for a large group of you to bully a girl, right? Besides, Song Tao, she wasn't wrong. Shen Yan is a pervert. My heart skipped a beat. I saw Wang Zhu, my former love rival, who was walking towards me with a cell phone in front of me. Wang Zhu grunted at me. Pressing the video in her hand, she shook it in front of Jin Zueru and Zhu He's eyes. The video quickly stopped. Although it was only 10 seconds, the truth was already clear. It was indeed Shen Yan's problem, and it was always not wrong for him to go up and touch someone in the video. Zhu He had just walked over, saw the image in the video, and directly swung his fist at Shen Yan. The two fought. Jin Zueru went up to stop, but was also knocked to the ground. Zhu He was distracted and was pressured by Shen Yan. And I'm no longer in the mood to watch this farce. Wang Zhu has always disliked me. But this time she was the one who helped me. Wang Zhu raised her eyebrows. Don't think too much. I'm just seeing the road. Shen Yan is not a good thing. Ooh and ah, a lot of people, chasing after them and then abandoning them, calling it challenging, snort, shameless. She gave me a somewhat uncomfortable look. And consider this as an amends for my previous rudeness to you. I smiled. Thanks anyway. I left with Wang Zhu's car. Zhu He, Shen Yan, and Jin Zueru were sent to the hospital. I don't care how it goes on behind the scenes, I'm busy signing the contract with the new head of household. Wang Zhu told me. The events of that day were secretly photographed, and the words that brought the rich second generation of two men competing for a woman hit the hot search. This matter has also become a laughing stock in the circle. It was thought that this time the hot search would come down quickly. But the first one to explode was Shen Yan, who likes Pua and has killed people. The girl's parents have been looking for an opportunity to take revenge, and stumbled upon the hot search, which turned the laughingstock into a legal incident. The second was Jin Zueru. There was a bullying clique in her high school, she was the boss in it, and I wasn't the only girl who was bullied. There was also a paraplegic who still lies in bed. The girl recorded the video, which many evidenced Jin Zueru. She wanted to sophistry cannot. Returned female designers, once fell off the mud and dust. As for Zhu He, but it is a mediocre love triangle, and I am a silly licking dog in his story. What a university's golden boy and girl, yuck. Cheating and saying he has true love, quite a match for Sister Bully. I hope Miss Sister can recognize the true face of the scum and stop being obsessive. Zhu He saw the hot search and stayed up for a long time brushing until his eyes were red. He is not a fool, the evidence is in front of him cannot recognize. The person who saved himself in the beginning, was it really Jin Zueru? What Song Tao said before, all true, she was bullied by Jin Zueru. Zhu He covered his face and a remorseful voice leaked out from his fingers. What have I done? Zhu He found himself injured and hospitalized for some days. Song Tao had never come. He also realized that he couldn't get through to Song Tao's phone. This was something that had never happened before. Zhu He didn't dare to think any deeper, directly pulling out the needle and heading to Song Tao's home. At the familiar doorway, a woman bent over to hold something. He went forward and clutched the girl's hand. Song Tao. Hiss, sir, you've got the wrong person. The girl was startled by her. Zhu He then realized and let go of her hand, but frowned and questioned. This is Song Tao's house, what are you moving? Song Tao, oh, you're talking about the former homeowner, ah, she's already sold the house, now this house is mine. Sold? His head spinning, He leaned against the wall. His injuries hadn't fully healed, and he had snuck out of the hospital. The girl sized him up twice and suddenly said, "Your name is He, right? That pretty girl left something for you, I'll go get it for you." The girl ran to the room and took out a box, shoving it into He's hands. "This is what that pretty girl left for you, please don't come over in the future, this is my home." He clutched the box and looked at the closed door, standing blankly for a moment. Song Tao had left. He had pissed Song Tao off. She had sold the house. He realized more clearly than ever that they couldn't go back. In the box, there was a cell phone. He opened the phone and saw a screenshot, as well as a video from a few years ago. It turns out that it was Song Tao who saved him in the first place. Mom and Dad, what are you anxious about? Wait a little longer. I will be able to be with He. Put a good Mrs. Zhu family not to do. I'm crazy to go to marry an old man who is 20 years older than me. Okay, no more, the doorbell is ringing. Jin Zuru turned off her cell phone, skimmed her mouth and ran to open the door. Outside the door was He. Her eyes lit up however, without waiting for her to open her mouth to speak, He threw over a slap. Jin Zuru was knocked off her feet and slumped on the ground, terrified. Finally realizing that the visitor was not coming from a good place. You, why are you hitting me? He did not say nonsense. Back then, are you sure that you saved me? Jin Zueru's face turned white and shook her mouth. With just one glance He understood. It turned out that for so many years, he had recognized the wrong person. He had been cheated by this wicked woman for 8 years. He looked at Jin Zueru as if he was looking at a dead person. 3 months back home. The inn has been renovated and finished. I was busy dealing with the small pool in the yard when Wang Zhu suddenly called. He is crazy. He still wants to find you. Fortunately I had the foresight. He still thinks you customers abroad now. Jin Zueru has fallen out, now in a lawsuit. He hit Jin Zueru backhandedly sued him for intentional assault. He sued her for fraud, estimated to have 10 million. The Jin family was already going downhill, originally thought of letting Jin Zueru fish for He and get help from the Zhu family, but as a result, the two of them dog eat dog, and the Jin family has already started filing for bankruptcy. He's heir position also can't sit steadily anymore. The Zhu family's eldest miss returned to China. As soon as she ripped him off, He has already been kicked out of the Zhu family. This pair of scummy men and women finally got their comeuppance. Oh, there's one more thing. Shen Yan, that dog thing, was knocked into a vegetable. It was the victimized girl's parents who drove into the car. I listened with a blank stare. I didn't expect that only 3 months had passed, but so many things had happened. Wang Zhu on the other end of the phone kept urging. Why don't you say anything? Isn't it crazy to be happy? I smiled. There's nothing to say, don't want to hear about them. The inn has been finished. You turn around and have time to come over to take a look. After all, you're also half the boss. Okay, wait for it, I'll go with my boyfriend piece by piece. Wang Zhu hung up the phone. The boyfriend looked out the window and suddenly opened his mouth. Isn't that He? Wang Zhu followed her boyfriend's finger and looked over. There was a drunkard stumbling on the street. It was indeed He. The man was a bit tasty. I heard you chased him before. Wang Zhu directly wrapped her arms around her boyfriend's neck. I was blind once when I was young. Come on, let me have a kiss.